What's going on, everyone? You are listening to the Antonio Chauran Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Antonio Chauran. And thank you all for tuning in. It's been some time. I actually think it's May 8th, and it's been exactly 2 months since my last episode, which is more of a recap of the Super Bowl. A little bit more of a somber tone to it. Not today. I am actually in a great mood today for a variety of reasons. And I want to be covering a lot in this episode today. I've been absent just because I've been really busy with work and stuff like that. But just because I've been absent doesn't mean that there's been an absence of any sports news and any just sports stuff going on in general. A lot's been happening, a lot has gone down, and we are going to dive into a few things. I want to cover, well, there's three major topics I want to go over today. But more specifically, there's like little nuggets of each topic that I want to go over. One, I want to talk about the NFL draft. More specifically, I want to talk about the whole Shedeur Sanders thing. I'm not going to go over specifically like the draft picks, specifically with the Chiefs. Thought we had a really good draft. That's not what this episode is going to be predicated on. I can do that at another point in time, especially with minicamp coming up here in the next few weeks. Then there's going to be a lot of good stuff coming out of minicamp, being able to evaluate these guys, seeing where they are. So that'll be exciting to really dive into that. Um, but yeah, I really want to talk about the whole Shedeur Sanders thing. So we'll get into that first. I want to give a little nod to my Royals. We've lost, or I'm sorry, we have won 15 of our last 17 games, and I actually heard this crazy stat on the broadcast this past, is it Saturday? It was the first game that we beat the Orioles, I believe, in that series. We won that series. Um, it had been the first time that the Royals had a four-game shutout in an eight-game span since 1991. That's crazy. We have gone, math isn't my strong suit. One, carry the 34 years, almost 34 years because this happened before August. So 33 and some change since that's happened. That's crazy. I don't think that's just a testament to the pitching. I think that's just a testament to the defense. We've won a lot of low scoring games. When the bats aren't going, we can depend on our defense. And I think that's huge. I think we currently stand now after the win today, beating the White Sox 10 to nothing. I think we're 23 and 16 now. I mean, 7 games over 500. We're still third. We're in a tough division this season, man. We are. I mean, the Guardians and the Tigers are on one. I think we're only like a game or a game and a half behind the leader, the Guardians in the AL Central. But we're looking good. We are, and we have the best home record, I think, in the entire AL. Um, the National League, I think there's like three teams that have a better home record than us. But in the entire American League, we have the best home record. So, you know, keep going, boys. Keep going. Bobby Baseball playing amazing. I want to get a jersey so bad, so bad. I have a few, but I'm the type where I have those jerseys, baseball jerseys, but I don't have the name on the back because it's more expensive. Um, but Fanatics is having a sale right now where things are 25% off. So a jersey, and it's the limited edition jersey, with the logo on the sleeve. You got the Royals logo, and then you got I think it's the Quick Trip logo. Actually, no, I think that's the authentic version. That's very expensive. I love jerseys, but I'm not spending 230 on a jersey. That's just too much. Unless it's absolutely necessary. I feel like I should do a whole episode on just like jerseys. I have so many jerseys, shoes, just, I have a very I have a very particular style. I feel like, I mean, I say particular as if it's unique to me. There's a lot of people that have my style, but I love hats, love shoes, love sportswear, jerseys. I got this one from Fanatics with this hat. There you go, the Jackie Robinson anniversary jersey or hat. Um, anyways, 25% off sale this week on Fanatics where this jersey is like there's a Salvi jersey in the powder blue, Bobby Witt jersey, the white with the royal blue lettering, 175 originally. It's on sale for like 130 and I'm just like, $45 off. That's not bad, but that's still $130. So I'm battling that. It's Thursday now. We'll see if Sunday comes around and I pull the trigger, but we'll see. Anyways, so wanted to give a quick nod to the Royals there. They're playing absolutely great. Michael Garcia, he's batting, he has like a 397 batting average since April 20th. The guy's been on an absolute heater. I mean, we're looking good. Boys are playing some ball. Um, the last thing I also want to cover, the NBA playoffs. I mean, that's like uh no offense to hockey fans, but I think more so the NBA playoffs is getting a lot more run than the NHL playoffs. So again, not trying to throw any shade to my hockey fans, but I think the NBA takes the cake there. So let's start with Shedeur Sanders. So I have done some episodes on this podcast, and I have done some content where it's been around the Colorado Buffaloes with Deion Sanders. And I've been on the record being very much a fan of Deion Sanders and what he's been able to do at that program. Um, there's been a lot of hate that's gone his way, not just towards him, towards the program, towards his players, specifically Shedeur. Now, look, here's what I will say about Shedeur when it comes to the critiques. Um, a lot of it seems to stem from his personality. People think he comes off as really cocky, arrogant, just kind of a show off, with the whole watch thing and all that. Um, look, you also got to keep in mind he's a kid. What is he? 21, 22 years old? I mean, look, everyone there are guys that have their character, I don't want to say issues, but some have more character than others. I think of a guy like Baker Mayfield, coming out of Oklahoma, that infamous video of him grabbing his crotch when he was on the sideline. Not a lot of people like that. I've also been on the record saying that I thought uh, Baker Mayfield was a douche. I've come around on Baker a lot, actually. He actually seems like a really good guy. And he's had a resurgence in his career, so great for him. Come around on him, definitely for sure. But the thing with Shedeur is I feel like it's a little bit more complex given who his dad is. And that's not on him. It's not his fault who his dad is. Um, so I feel like he kind of was it's twofold, right? Because people can look at it as a good thing, right? Where Dion is his dad and he's got connections. He, arguably the best corner to ever play the game. The pedigree that he has and the knowledge that he can give his sons, I mean, that's not something that a lot of people are able to have as a kid growing up. But on the flip side, not only was he a great an amazing all-time player, he also kind of has a target on his back because of the way he presented himself and the way that he carried himself. He wore his personality on his sleeve. I mean, he literally goes by his nickname, Prime. Could you imagine? That'd be so cool. Imagine getting acknowledged. Hey, what's up, Prime? Like, that's just super dope. So I feel like because of that, I mean, it's rubbed off on Shedeur a little bit, as you can see, just how he's kind of conducted himself. Um, and unfortunately, it carried on into the draft process and inevitably the draft, where he dropped all the way to the fifth round. Um, here's what I will say about the situation. I by no means think it was acceptable for him to drop to the fifth round. Absolutely not. But I didn't think he was a top three pick. No, not at all. Um, Obviously, Cam Moore deserved to go before him. Um, and I think him and Jackson Dart were kind of a toss-up. Um, obviously New York, they at the I think it was the 18th or 19th pick, something like that. Because I think it was the Steelers that were the other team in the sweepstakes for Shedeur at the 21st pick. So yeah, the Giants were a few picks before him or before them. And they went with Jackson Dart. That's their guy. Cool. But I think the next QB that should have gone off the board was Shedeur. Absolutely. Um, but it's interesting because you've seen kind of one side or the other when it comes to the Shedeur conversation. People either think that he should have been one of the top picks, and people also think that, a day two draft pick made sense for him. Um, I think he could have gone in the second round. Absolutely. I thought he was going to go and late in the first round. I really did. Um, but people saying that he was like a top pick and things of that nature. I didn't think that was the case. And the other thing too that just really annoyed me was the whole argument that all 32 teams passed up on Shedeur, that blah blah. No, they didn't. 32 teams did not pass on Shedeur because 32 teams didn't need a quarterback. I thought that was so dumb. And I know teams get backups, right? I know that's a thing. Um, the Chiefs aren't drafting Shedeur Sanders. Buffalo, they're not drafting Shedeur Sanders. Philly, they're not drafting Shedeur Sanders. The LA Chargers, they're not. Um, the Baltimore Ravens, they're not drafting Shedeur. Um, those are the Bengals, they're not drafting Shedeur. You can think of so many teams that are not in the quarterback market. And so to say that 32 teams pass up on him was just, I thought that was a dumb argument. It never made sense to me. Um, but again, for people to say that he deserved to drop to the fifth round, I also think that's just asinine. Like that just makes no sense. At that point, that just felt like you were trying to get back at Dion because he was on the record saying, and I'm not saying anything that I'm sure a lot of you people don't know already, on the record saying that we're going to pick where he goes if there's not a desirable spot for us that are talking to him. We're not going to even bother or entertain it. And so obviously, I don't think that should have happened, right? You kind of put a target not just on your back, but your son's back. Um, so that's tough. The Browns quarterback room is an interesting one with Dylan Gabriel, I think is his name. Um, you got Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett. Isn't Kenny Pickett there now? Um, Deshaun Watson, he's not playing. He tore his Achilles, re-ruptured it. Um, and Shedeur Sanders. So you got quite the QB room in Cleveland. So definitely a spot that he could potentially win and become a starter. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, I'm a no hate, no shade towards Joe Flacco. Um, but he's also like 40 and has been a journeyman ever since he left the Ravens. So, to each their own. But those are kind of my thoughts on Shedeur. I thought he played great in Colorado. He had like a 70% completion percentage behind an O-line that was just absolutely horrible. There was improvement second year, but still not great. by any stretch of the imagination. I think people think he's limited because of his size, because of his strength, but I feel like he can be a good QB in the league. Absolutely. I think people aren't giving him a fair shake. That's not fair to him, but I also think a lot of the criticism is because of who his father is, and that's just not fair. So, yeah, I see both sides because the others that are like, oh, this was the worst thing that could have happened, and the 32 teams that didn't pick up argument. I feel like those are also people that are trying to massage that relationship that they have with Deion Sanders. If they didn't have that relationship, they wouldn't be saying shit like that. I genuinely feel like that's the case because it just makes no sense. So the things that people will say to keep certain relationships, it's interesting. But it's also obvious. So, anyways, that's what I'll say about that. Let's pivot over to the NBA. Coming off of the night happened last night where the Knicks, the New York Knicks, uh, won game two against the Celtics. It's been interesting to say the least in that series. Um, at both games, Celtics had a 20-point lead going into, well, they were in the third quarter, those leads. And then slowly but surely, Knicks are just chipping away, playing bully ball, getting twos instead of threes because they're not settling for threes. Because God knows Celtics love their three ball. Joe Mazzulla loves his three ball. I think at some point you got to realize that if you're sticking to something that just hasn't been working, you got to switch it up, right? You have to. But their philosophy is live and die by the three. And if they have a shot open, go for it. Again, there were so many instances where they could have taken it to the hole, they could have settled for a two, yet they're taking the damn three. And it's just so, I'm not a Celtic fan. I like the Celtics. Usually if there's a team in the East, I'll root for the Celtics. Um, but and my dad is a huge Celtics fan. I think I've said that before. Um, and he actually told me somewhat recently that he failed as a father because I'm not a Celtics fan like he is. But again, look, he is a Celtics fan because of a player. Larry Bird was his guy. Cool. I'm similar to where I follow teams because of players. Because Kansas City, we don't have a team. We had the Kansas City Kings back in the day, but now they moved to Sacramento. So they're not with us anymore. It's been like that for some time. Um, so obviously I got teams like the Chiefs, the Royals that I can root for. But when it comes to basketball, I just kind of root for players that play for certain teams. I'm a huge LeBron fan, so I was rooting for the Lakers. It sucked that they lost in the first round, but I'm not butthurt about it. Um, I also like Anthony Edwards. Like, if the T-Wolves made a run, that would be really cool. Um, but I find myself really rooting for the Knicks here. Um, I feel like a lot of NBA fans, whether their teams are out, um, or they're kind of like in the same boat as me, where they have like favorite players, but they don't have like an allegiance to one team. I feel like everyone's kind of like galvanizing with this Knicks team because I mean going into the series, people were saying that the Knicks would be lucky if they just got one game, let alone leading 2-0. Like it feels like a fever dream right now in New York. It has to because this was something that nobody saw coming. Absolutely nobody. And so yeah, I love Jalen Brunson. I mean, that guy is an absolute dog. I mean, the way he plays, he just, it's satisfying to see because that entire Knicks team, not just Brunson, they play an older brand of basketball that's just, not seen very much in the modern NBA. And I feel like, and this is an interesting point that I've heard. I heard it from Nick Wright. I think it was earlier today or it was yesterday, but he said, he basically said it would be interesting to see how this series goes because the way that the Celtics play basketball is what the modern NBA is essentially in a nutshell, where the three ball has just absolutely taken over the game. Um, it can, pay dividends when you're able to knock them down, but if you're missing 45 threes in a game and they're not going down and and you shoot yourself out of a game, then what are we doing? You're seeing the recipe of the modern NBA with the Celtics combined or against the recipe that the Knicks are playing with, which is kind of a more old school style play of ball, brand of basketball. Um, it's kind of a battle of the styles, the battle of the ways of playing basketball here. And if the Celtics lose this series, the NBA is going to have to take a real hard look at itself and be like, "Oh man, maybe this isn't a recipe for success in basketball. Maybe you need to have the twos. You need to have those pick and rolls. You need to have those post ups. You need like the two is losing its significance with the way that basketball is playing today. And so if you can reverse that, oh my God, that would change the identity of so many teams. That would change the identity of players that are known for shooting the three ball. I know a guy like Steph Curry, for example. You think of the three ball, you think of him. But he's not just jacking up threes though. Like he will go to the cup. He absolutely will. I think of a guy more like, well, shoot, every guy on the Celtics, but think of a guy like LaMelo Ball, for example, who pulls up as soon as he passes half court. Guys like that, where they're not posting up. They're not getting to the rack like that. That's just not their game. And a lot of players now are just too complacent with wanting to just settle for the three ball. I feel like this series, if the Knicks win this series, I feel like teams are going to be looking at themselves being like, we can also play like that. We don't have to just jack up a bunch of threes. So I'd be really interested to see how that plays out because yeah, I find myself rooting for the Knicks in this series. I really do. I mean, it would have been cool to see the Celtics win. Um, but man, I I would be rooting. I'm rooting for the Knicks now. I feel myself, really wanting to root for New York here. And the other part of it too is, when a team sucks for so long, and I feel like I've said this on my show before, so it's kind of verbatim from what I've said in prior episodes. But um, when a team sucks for so long, you feel bad for them after a while. And you're just like, man, they need this. They need a win. And I have felt like that towards the Knicks for some time. Again, not because I have any allegiance to New York. I have no ties to New York whatsoever. Um, but after a while, you're just like, damn, like let them get one. Now, in the past few years, they've had a very good team, with Brunson. As soon as they made that Brunson trade, complete game changer. Um, so I feel like that's another kind of motivating thing for me to root for the Knicks. But we'll see. We will see. Um, I'm definitely going to try to upload some more like in real time as the NBA playoffs are going on, just kind of more real time reactions. Um, because the entire first round already passed, and I actually had a show prepared to do. I had like notes for before the series started for all the teams and all the rounds and stuff. Um, but I just kind of I got busy and it just kind of laid there. So, that's okay. But maybe, actually, I'll pull up for you my predictions from round one, see if they materialized. Okay, so this is what I had. So in the Western Conference, I had the Thunder in five, they won in four. I had the Warriors in seven, that was accurate. I had the Lakers in six. Obviously, I was very wrong there. As we all well know, the T-Wolves won at five. And I had the Clippers in seven, but the Nuggets won in seven. So I had the amount of games right, just the wrong winner. Cavs and Heat at Cavs in five. They won in four. I had the Celtics in five. They won in five. I had the Knicks in seven. They won in six. And I had the Pacers in six. They won in five. So not not too far off. Not too far off. Um, I picked two winners of the series. I picked the Lakers and Clippers to both win those series. I was wrong, but at least I got the amount of games right with the Clippers Nuggets series. Um, so yeah, I think tonight, if I recall correctly, is game two of the T-Wolves and Warriors. That's going to be a big game for the T-Wolves because they lost that first game after Curry got knocked out. I think it was a hamstring, if I recall, like a grade one hamstring injury. I think he's out at least a week, so he could be back by like game four or five potentially. But I think it's going to be really dependent on, obviously if they're winning or losing these games. So we'll see. But T-Wolves need to win this game. For them to lose that first game was unacceptable. Um, so we'll see what happens there. But I'll do a quick prediction. You know what? Why not? I'll pick the winners for the rest of the series. May sound a little bit unfair, given that two games have happened already for some of these series. Um, I'll be honest. I thought the Cavs and Celtics were going to win these series, but they're both down 2-0, both going away. Cavs playing in Indiana, games three and four. Same for the Celtics playing in New York for three and four, and they're both down 0-2. So I would have said with the Celtics, I would have said Celtics in six, Cavs probably the same, Cavs in six. But I mean, again, hindsight is such a beautiful thing, right? Because now we're seeing how things materialize instead of just throwing out a prediction with the unknown, right? Um, I think then I can't see the Celtics winning this series. I can't because look, teams have gone down 2-0 before and have won series. That's happened before or have gone down 0-2. That's nothing new. But the Celtics were up by 20 both games and lost in heartbreaking fashion too. You get into OT first game, you try to tie it. It was 108, 105. Jaylen Brown tries to score. Mikal Bridges rips it away out of his grip. Game's over. Second game, again, up by 20. Knicks hunt you down, chip away at the lead. Next thing you know, they're winning the game 91 to 90. Mikal Bridges comes up big again on a key block. Tatum can't do anything. Game over. Both in Boston. Again, I feel like mentally that just has to be so gut wrenching. It has to. And in your mind, you're like, oh my God, we have played these amazing games through the first 2.5 quarters, and then you just choke away the lead for whatever reason. You're holding Jalen Brunson to pretty substandard field goal percentages, yet he pulls up in the fourth quarter and he throws on that Superman cape and the Nova Knicks take over. I mean, defensively they're playing great, but they can't seem to win. Um, so again, I can't see the Knicks not winning this series. So I'm gonna go Knicks in six. I am because I can see. I think the Knicks are going to win one of these two games at home. I don't think it matters if they win game three or game four. As long as they win one, I feel like that's going to seal it up. I feel like, um, and with the Pacers and Cavs, man, I mean, I thought they had it wrapped up in game two, and then I look up, I have my ESPN app, and it's like a 2 or 3 point game. I was like, what the hell? And then watching that final play with Halliburton missing the second free throw, getting the rebound, retreating back to the 3 point line, throwing it up, boom, game over. It's like that meme, absolute cinema. Like that's what it felt like. That's what these Eastern Conference games have felt like. They've been absolutely crazy. So again, I would have picked the Cavs in six. I'm gonna pick the Pacers in six too. Sound like a broken record. I'm sorry, but man, like again, and this is I don't know what the status is for some of the Cavs players. They're missing Julius or Darius Garland, as well as like two other players. I can't remember their names. It would have been an impressive win for the Cavs if they pulled off that dub too, because of the missing players that they had. DeAndre Hunter, he was the other guy, and there's one more. Um, but again, that's you're up by that many points, and then you just choke it away. I mean, that's tough. It's really tough. So yeah, I'm gonna pick the Knicks and Pacers in six, and I feel like we're gonna get an Eastern Conference Finals, Pacers and Knicks. I mean, man, that's gonna be crazy. Absolutely crazy. Um, so let's go over to the Western Conference now. Nuggets just got obliterated by like 50 points in game two. They won that first game. That was a crazy win. Kudos to Gordon. Uh, his name is slipping my mind. Aaron Gordon. There we go. Um, but man, they got absolutely whooped that second game. They got the belt. They got that Midwestern belt was what happened. Um, yeah, I mean that this is a toss up. This game, I think this is going to be a 7 game series. I really do. But I want to go with the Nuggets. I mean, I just feel like they're on one right now. I really do. I thought they were going to get knocked down the first round, but seeing how they were able to rally, get that, yeah, no, I know they got whooped just last night, but I think they're going to shore up. I mean, they already took away home court advantage, so I feel like that second game, yeah, I'm sure they wish they won that game, but they're going into Denver 1-1. I feel like they're feeling good right now, and I'm going to pick Nuggets in seven in that series, and then switching over to the Wolves and Warriors. This is interesting. Again, I don't have hindsight necessarily with this game because they're playing tonight, and I feel like tonight's game is going to really dictate how I feel like this series is going to go. With that being said, I do have a little bit because Curry's out for game two, for the next few games. Am I crazy for picking the Warriors? Am I? I don't know. I mean, they beat a really good Rockets team this past series. Again, they had Curry. Them not having Curry is a real big X factor. Absolutely. But you know what the other thing I think about is Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets. Think of those Miami Heat teams that he dragged all the way to the finals. This Warriors team, even without Steph Curry, far better than those Heat teams. And the T-Wolves, they're a great team. Julius Randle's having an amazing playoff so far, which wasn't something that he had with the Knicks prior to the trade. So it's good to see that. Rudy Gobert, unless he's playing the Lakers and looks like prime Wilt Chamberlain, kind of hit or miss. Um, Anthony Edwards been a little bit underwhelming these past few games. He can get hot, but there's also games where he can give you 13 points. Um, and he literally had 1 point in the first half. in the first game. He had 22 in the second half, but you can't get off to that slow start. Um, Naz Reid, he's a good player. Reigning sixth man of the year. Um, Alexander Walker, good player. Um, again, they played great against the Lakers. I mean, they beat them in five. And seeing how they played in that first game, I mean, they just had no offense. Their shooting just wasn't good. And I feel like with uh with the T-Wolves too, they can hang their hat on the defensive end of the ball, but sometimes they can get a little stale on the offensive side, and that's concerning, especially against a Warriors team that they can get hot like that. I mean, Buddy Hield, he's been on a heater these past few games. Draymond Green, if you can see him put a few three-pointers in, you could be in some trouble. And if you're not up, at least like again, let's say it's game five. If it's 2-2, Steph Curry comes back, you might be in some trouble. So try to take advantage if you can with Steph out. Get him in a really tough position where they feel like they need to rush Steph back. That's the best play right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors won this series, and I'm going to pick them in seven. I'm gonna pick the Warriors in seven. I'll pick the Nuggets in seven. Um, I think we can have a Nuggets, Warriors Western Conference Finals, Pacers Knicks Eastern Conference Finals, and we'll go from there. But man, it's been a great playoffs so far. So many games that have just come down to the wire, absolutely crazy. Um, this is probably one of the more memorable postseasons in NBA history. In recent years, in my opinion, it's just been crazy. Um, so yeah, we will we'll see where that goes. And I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. I am going to try my best to kind of do more game reactions because I mean, in the moment, you're like, oh my God, what just happened? And I just got to hop on and give some reactions. I definitely want to try to do that more. I definitely aim to at least do two more podcasts before the NBA season ends. Two or three. Three would be great. Um, so I want to aim to do that as best I can, and it'll obviously be more NBA playoff centric, where I'm not really talking about other stuff. But I definitely want to get more to football content again once the season starts to ramp up. Obviously, we're getting close to mini camp and then OTAs and things of that nature. So, and I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going on already too. Aaron Rodgers still doesn't have a team. George Pickens just got traded to the Cowboys yesterday. Some stuff just still going on. Patrick Mahomes, did I say he got a haircut? Did I talk about that? I mean, the guy's getting ready to go for an MVP season. Another 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards, manifesting. Um, I'm being a little. No, I'm not being dramatic. It's happened before. Why couldn't it happen again? So, anyways, bear with me, guys. But I appreciate you listening. I appreciate the support. Um, and yeah, so thank you all for listening. I'll catch you all next time. Peace.